Welcome then to our third TAAS webinar. As I said, my name is Paul Fenton and I work in the city of Stockholm. I'll give you a short background about the TAAS project because some of you may not be familiar with our project. We're an Interreg Europe funded project with a screen sharing function that doesn't want to work. 1 second. There. Our program today, is 3 presentations. One from Camilla Zedendahl from the Djurgården Society in Stockholm. One from Emily from Visit Normandy in France, and then Marie Östblom, who works for Stockholm Business Region. And they're going to talk about different approaches to managing sustainability on site, so that visitors have exciting and enjoyable sustainable experience using a combination of physical and digital tools. TAAS then, the project, is an Interreg Europe project. Here's some information shortly about the project. The objectives are to improve policy instruments to drive smart and sustainable tourism development. And we do that using a variety of different approaches. Here's an example from Visit Tampere to have a special focus on sustainable tourism, mobility, and the digital customer chain. The lead partner is the Center for Research and Technology, Hellas, and we're a group of other engaged and dynamic partners who work together to help each other learn and improve our own work and then spread examples to other communities around Europe. And we do this using a service logic, you can say, where we divided up the trip process into different phases. And today we're going to talk about phase C, the during the trip phase. And so, yeah, we can go over to our first speaker, and that's Camilla Zedendahl from the Djurgården Society in Stockholm. Sorry, I have a cold, so I wanted to cough there. Camilla, would you like to introduce yourself and start your presentation?
Yes, thank you very much. I hope you all can hear me. I'll start my, let's see if I can start my presentation. Here we go. Share, and I am hoping that you can see this. Let's see. Oh. How do I wait 1 second? And here we go. And you can see it full screen now, right?
Yes, we can.
Yes. Okay. Good. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here and to also be part of this project and to talk a little bit about what we do at Royal Djurgården. I'm thinking that we are in the middle of worrying times. I think you all know what I mean by that. The world is so unpredictable right now. So it's important for us in tourism to do our part. And I also think that we actually have a specific part to fill in this time, as we can present things that are genuine and true and filled with facts, and we also meet a lot of people, which is of course very, very important. I'll talk a little bit about our journey and where we are at. Just checking so that you can follow me now, Paul. This is a second. After this, I don't think it will be a problem, but you can see the next slide now, right?
We can. Thank you.
Okay, good. So I'll talk a little bit about our journey, and I think that Ljubljana can see this as well. We are working according to the criteria set by the GSTC, the Global Sustainable Tourism Council, that is based on the Global Sustainable Development Goals, the UN goals, of course. And we were extremely happy in 2022 to receive the Platinum Award, side by side with Ljubljana, being the first two big city destinations to kind of reach that level. So this is Stockholm, where we are at. We are in the middle of the of the capital, and Stockholm itself is working a lot with sustainability. Of course, you all know that, as we all are in this group. Stockholm is one of the 100 European cities that are going towards the climate neutral mission. And we ourselves then have signed the Glasgow Declaration on Climate Action in Tourism, which is the base for all of us who are in another Interreg project, which is the Kleinest project. And we are really, really happy about this. So, as I said, this is Stockholm, and we are an island within Stockholm. And you can see that it's a very green island here. That is Royal Djurgården. It's one of 14 islands. The island is managed by the king. The land is managed by the king on this island. There are 22 museums here, over 30 restaurants, one amusement park, and also it's part of the world's first national city park that's actually turning 30 years this year. We welcome over 15 million visitors every year, which is equivalent to 1.5 times of the Swedish population that actually visits our island every year. And we are 62 members of the Royal Djurgården Society that I manage and drive, that work together, and that makes up then the destination. When looking at the destination, we all realized very early that taking care of this place and having a sustainable approach is really important. We're in this together. We have to work together. And when it comes to both the city, the region, the destination of Royal Djurgården, the attractions, and of course the guests as such. We usually say that we have welcomed guests for 400 years. And today it's up to us. Tomorrow it's up to somebody else. But today it's up to us to make sure that we can welcome guests for yet another 400 years. So that's a responsibility that we have kind of taken on. We work together very closely with our attractions. The Royal Djurgården Society is a very small organization, so we are dependent on our attractions being part of the work. We have a dedicated sustainability group where representatives of the different attractions take part. The coolest sustainability officers that we have on the island, I say, we meet about 8 times a year, every month actually, when it's not high season, and we work in a very structured way. What we do is that we gather facts. Every second year we have a sustainability audit within all of our members. Do all of them answer? No, but more and more of them actually do. We're really happy about that. With the answer that we get in the audit, we structure and look upon what should we work with, where are our biggest impacts that we make, both positive and negative, and then we act. Then we communicate, and then we go back to checking, have we actually done what we've said that we should do? The green destinations structure and the GSTC structure has been really important for us. The base is, of course, always the SDGs. As we have gathered the facts, together with our sustainability group and all the members, we have decided that we're going to work within 4 focus areas, and here they are. It's fossil-free and traffic smart, a sustainable food culture, open, accessible, and welcoming, and a world exhibition on sustainability. I'm going to get back to you a little bit on all of these areas. Within the focus areas, we can see the fossil-free and traffic smart. That's how do we communicate with our guests to make sure that they use public transportation, that they prioritize bicycling or walking and leave their own car at home. At the same time, this is an area where we cannot work alone. This is an area where we also have a dialogue with the city and the region so that we get the public transportation needed to actually get 15 million people here in a sustainable way, and that we have the infrastructure as well. When it comes to sustainable food culture, that is, of course, a fun area where we work together with all our restaurants discussing what is a sustainable food culture, what do we do to ensure that we are wise in this area. And one of the things that we did a little bit over a year ago is that we offered all the restaurants within the destination to actually measure their food waste. So that is a very important part of what we do. Open, accessible, and welcoming is that this is such an important area, the culture here that we are passionate about. We want to offer that to everybody. Everybody has to feel welcome. The last part, a world exhibition on sustainability. Then we go back to our roots a little bit. In 1897, we had a world exhibition, or actually not a world exhibition, where we had a big industrial exhibition where we looked into the future and saw that industrialism was coming. It was then going to save us. Now we look upon what is it that we have to do today to develop the society and everything that we do in a smart way. So together we have set goals aiming for 2025, 2027, and 2030 within those 4 areas, all connected to the SDGs. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the relationship to our guests and the visitor experience. A lot of what we do within the goals is how we act, but it's also a question of a relationship between us and our guests, of course, that is important. How do we involve them? How do we make sure that they make the right choices? So the journey starts, of course, as they walk across the bridge. We try to make sure that all our visitors have sustainable options, getting here, informing them about them in a smart way. This is when we made a test closing the bridge that we have for traffic and just making it a walking bridge. It's usually not this many people because this was on the National Day, but it was really a great experience to test what happens if we take away all the private cars from the island. We learned a lot from that test that we made. In November of last year, we started to look upon using behavioral science to see how can we relate to our guests in another way. How can we kind of take these goals that we have and use, how do we become a world exhibition on sustainable development in a way that our guests can feel it. You have a QR code there where you will learn a little bit more about the process that we had, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. So in November, we gathered all our members, the dedicated sustainability team from representing all the different and many of the different attractions were a driving force behind this. We sat down and we embarked on a journey to look upon the relationship to our guests and how to kind of turn Royal Djurgården into a world exhibition on sustainability. I'll take a little some short words about the techniques. You can also look about presentations about how this process has been going on. So what we started to do was, of course, that we started to look upon what is the experience that you have here. Important things like, what will you see? What will you hear? What will you kind of smell? All the things that what is the feeling that you get when you come here? What do we want to kind of have more of, and what do we want to have less of? For example, the private cars, we want to get off the island. We also wanted the visitors to kind of experience sustainability during their visit. How do we do that? Our vision is that we should be leading on sustainable experiences. So what are they actually experiencing when they come here? And we also have this idea that how can we be a test area where we can show that sustainability and modern living can actually coexist. Just like we had the World Exhibition, or the exhibition we had in 1897, we were looking at, with history and the situation we are in today, what do we need to do for the future? So that is one of the questions that we have been looking at. And working with museums, for example, as we are, it's really important because that is what they do. They have a knowledge of the past, they look at our present, and they start to also look into the future. And it's a really interesting process. So I'm not going to go through all of this, but you can go in and look upon it a little bit. What we did after then looking at this different parameters, we started to make a list of disruption-free actions that we could start to do. Some of them we were already doing, others we kind of increased and tried to focus on doing. The reduce of food waste in the bottom there is, of course, one of the examples that we were already doing, but how can we do that even more in an even more structured way, and also do it in a way that our guests get involved in the process. Behind this, of course, lies a lot of this work that we've done, that we've been mapping the behavior of our guests. How do we want them to act, and in which way can we use behavioral science to get them to act in a specific way? And of course, there are different ways to look there. There are information. We know that's not really that easy to get people to change their behavior just by information, but it's also about nudging. And it's also about making things decide for our guests, because we know that there is a green gap. Everybody, us as humans, we know what we need to do, but we're not doing it. And that gap between there, that turns into anxiety. How can we kind of minimize that gap by deciding for our guests so that they actually get a sustainable experience as they visit us. So we are thinking about how can we activate ideal behaviors with our guests. So this is also a way of mapping this, the green arrows being easy, the yellow ones being, of course, a little bit harder, and the red one requires a lot of work. So this is a system that we're working after to be really hands-on. When you're at the destination, we try to make sure that that it's easy to follow, to fill up your water bottle. If you bring your own coffee mug, you'll get a reduced price. We have lots of things of doing that, and one of the things that we actually give out, one of the few printed things that we have, is a simple map of Djurgården. And on the back of the map, of course, we talk about how to be a sustainability star. So we're talking about to and with our guests is how can, when they get here, when we welcome them to our island and to our attractions, this is kind of they're guests here, and how do you act in a way that you are a sustainability star as being part of this journey that we are all in. To end this short presentation, I've been talking a lot about the focus area of the World Exhibition for Sustainable Development, and I do think it's really important, and I do think that us as tourism, within tourism, have a very, very important role to play here. As the choices we makes a difference. As I said, we have 15 million visitors. They eat a lot of food. The choices we makes a difference, but also the messages that we send to our visitors when they're here and they're open, interested, and in a leisure mode. What do they bring home? That is an important question. So one of the things that we have, of course, is in our exhibits, a lot of times the sustainability is a theme in the exhibits, where people can learn more about the fact that we can actually get modern life and a sustainable way of living goes very well together, hand in hand, which gives people hope. And this is one of the things that we say that we really want to do, is to be part of the future and driving this area of change that we are in. So in the bottom there, you can see that in 1897, when we had our big Stockholm exhibition, one of the first cars were actually displayed at the exhibition. There were maybe a handful of cars in Stockholm at that time. Now they have used this place as a scene for new 5G driven driverless, fossil-free buses that will actually solve a lot of transportation problems in our big cities. So that is part of what we do. So that was a short presentation on what we are doing at Royal Djurgården and the way that we are thinking as we work with the visitor experience.
Thank you, Camilla. Thank you very much. It was really interesting. There were no questions in the chat, so I'm going to jump over to Emily. We'll take any questions in 15 or 20 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. And hello, everyone. So thank you, Camilla. And I'm going also to share my screen. Okay, I think it's working now. So hello everyone. Indeed, I'm Emily. I work on sustainable tourism mobility at the Normandy Tourist Board in France. And so I'm here to share our experience of some kind of actions that we undertook to make the visitors use more sustainable mobility and how we worked on that. So first, I wanted to share with you some background information about tourism and mobility, especially here in France, just to make you understand how we started to work on this subject. In fact, there was a big study that was first published in 2021, sorry, about the greenhouse gas emissions of the tourism sector in France, a study that was published by the UDEM, which is kind of our national agency for environment. And this study showed that so at first, in October 2021, it was nearly 3/4 of the greenhouse gas emissions of the tourism sector that were due to mobility. Here you can see on the screen the results for 2024. So it decreased a little, but the statistics are based on 2020. So it means that the COVID situation was still a little bit, a kind of influence on mobility. So in fact, we can still say that mobility is a big part of the greenhouse gas emissions. And as tourist destinations, especially, we were all working on sustainable tourism, especially focusing on saving energies, reducing waste, making tourism professionals work more with local producers, etc. But this study really made us realize that mobility was a big part of it and that we really had to work on it. As you can see on the right of the screen, in fact, among this 69%, you find just like half of the greenhouse gas emissions due to mobility or due to the plane, and half are due to the car. So even if as Normandy we don't have any international airport, etc., we still had something to do, especially since in Normandy we have around more than 80% of the French visitors who come to Normandy come with their own car. So it was really just like a kind of a shock, I would say. And we really started to focus a little bit more on a sustainable tourism mobility from 2021. Because any strategy for a more sustainable tourism industry should rely on actions for a more sustainable tourism mobility. So how did we act, and how can anybody act? Because I think everyone can work on sustainable tourism mobility and can do his part. As Camilla said, etc. It's not exactly. You can act as a tourist site, as an accommodation provider, tourist office, as a destination, etc. And I like to show it like in 4 different steps. The first is always to know more about the mobility offer, to know about the public transportation and any infrastructure for cycling, etc., around your own site or your own territory. The second step is to develop mobility services. So in order to welcome more and welcome better the visitors who come with this kind of sustainable mobility. The third step is about informing and communicating to the visitors, but I'll come back to it later. And the fourth step is also how you can make the visitors choose a kind of sustainable way of transportation. So here I wanted today to present you 3 examples of action that we undertook in Normandy. First, the D-Day line, which is a new transport offer for visitors that we created with the transport department of the region. The second is how we changed the way we communicated to the visitors. And the third one is about the Normandy low carbon rate. So I'm going to be really short for each example, but don't hesitate, as Paul said, to ask questions afterwards or even to contact me afterwards if you need. The first is about the D-Day line. I thought it could be interesting to share it with you because it was a way. So we used the big event, the 80th anniversary of the D-Day landings in 2024, to raise the awareness of the transport department of the region about the lack of public transportation on the landing beaches. And we succeeded in creating a transport offer with them for the visitors that was called the D-Day line. They even created a logo and some posters to promote it. And the good part of it is that they decided then to continue it. And so the D-Day line will also be organized on the landing beaches this year during the summer. So the big event was really a good way to introduce tourism and sustainable tourism mobility to the transport sector. So it was also really a good project. The second action is more about information and communication, and I really agree with what Camilla said. And here in Normandy, we decided to work on it with 3 kind of levels of communication. The first was how to inform about the access to the destination with sustainable mobility. The second level was more about creating specific content. And the third level was more about communication campaigns about sustainable mobility. So the first about informing, so sorry, the examples here are in French, but the idea was first really to focus on information about the access to our destination, Normandy, but it can be to any tourist site, of course, because we realized that we were always focusing on giving the address of a site and not explaining how you can access the site without your car or without any car. So we tried to improve all this information, especially on our website, and we organized also some webinars so that other destinations could also improve the way they informed the visitors about the access to their destination. So you can see here some examples, and at the bottom of the screen you can also see the Normandy map that was also completely changed. And this is now our regular map, let's say, is a map about cycling routes. And you can see blue column on the right, which is all information about how you can slow travel in Normandy. So especially traveling to Normandy without your car. The second level of communication is about creating specific content, and that's how we created some weekend ideas or other itineraries without the car. So I have some specific content here about it. So we have a program which is called Normandy Without My Car, which is an inspiration program for visitors, and where we selected accommodation, restaurants, attractions, and activities that are located near the train station or near a cycling or pedestrian route. If possible, this selection has to focus on sustainable tourism committed service providers. So that's why we have on our website, especially a section which is called Low Carbon Normandy, where you can find around 60 weekend ideas by train in Normandy, and also around 15 station to station, either cycling or walking trips, just to make the visitors realize how much this is possible to travel to Normandy and within Normandy without any car, just with the train or with the bike or while hiking. The third level communication is more about our communication campaigns. And that's why now each time we organize a press trips or some, when we welcome influencers, for example, to show more about Normandy, we always focus on showing them some hiking routes or cycling routes. We make them come with the train, or even for foreigners, most of the time we make them come with the train and electric vehicles. And it's really important also so that they can share then their own experience and show how it could be possible to travel also in a more sustainable way throughout Normandy. And the last action I wanted to share with you is quite new because it was launched last year. It's what we call the Normandy Low Carbon Rate. Indeed, we have a tourist site in Normandy, which is called the Juno Beach Center, which is located on the landing beaches, and which is really involved into sustainable development. And in 2021, they decided to introduce a low carbon rate for some visitors. And we decided to extend it to whole Normandy in 2024. So the low carbon rate is a minimum 10% discount at 90 museums and sites for the visitors who use one of the 3 sustainable transport modes that you can see here, which are either the train, the bus, or the bicycle. So just like public transport or bicycle. So in fact, we asked some of the tourism actors in Normandy to enter the project, and especially the museums and tourist sites, the activity suppliers, the incoming agencies and tour guides, the bike rental agencies, which are part of the activity suppliers, the tourist offices, and the events. And we asked them to join the project, and that's how we succeeded in gathering around 90 tourist sites offering the Normandy low carbon rate. So we had 3 goals into this project. First, it was, of course, to encourage visitors to use less carbon-intensive means of transport. The second goal was to support sustainable tourism practices at sites and museums. And the third goal was also to help us better understand the territory, especially to identify the gaps to improve the network of public transportation and bike routes around Norman sites and museums. We had 8 phases of implementation, which were really simple and quick. First, so we created the concept, also discussing a lot with the Juno Beach Center that had quite an experience on this project. And we formed partnerships, especially with the region, with the public network in Normandy, which is called the Nomad, with the French railway company, SNCF, and with the ADEME. Then we had to recruit sites and museums in the initiative through webinars, special meetings, through their own networks. And in order to registrate, it was really easy. They just had a commitment form to fill in. And then we provided them some communication kits, just like logos, banners, posters in French and English, in order that they could communicate on the project. And the counterpart for them that was to benefit from a big communication plan that we organized with the SNCF, with the region, and us as the Normandy Tourist Board as well, in order to promote all the sites that took part into the project. Then at the end, we collected feedback and entry data, and we organized a big day with all the sites that were involved into the project. Just to give you some results, so as I told you,
Emily,
yes.
Is it possible, can we hold your results for a moment? Because Marie, our third speaker, has to leave 10:55 at the latest. So if we quickly do her presentation, and then we can come back to your results. Is that okay?
No problem.
Thank
okay.
you. And I will show. I'll show Marie's presentation. Marie, are you on? Is your
Yes, thank
speaker
you,
on?
thank you, Paul. I'm so sorry. I just mix everything up in the schedule today. So, but I'm glad to be here, and I think it's very interesting what I heard about Normandy. So I look forward to get the presentation. Yes. So if I think yeah, we're gonna first. I don't know if this the first slide. I think. Yeah, it is. Yeah, my name is Marie Östblom, and I have been running the Stockholm Archipelago collaboration since January 2019. But the long-term collaboration has been going on since 2015. And it's 8 municipalities in the archipelago, and it's Region Stockholm and Archipelago Foundation and the Stockholm County Administrative Board that is a part of this Stockholm Archipelago. So we are 100% founded from the taxpayer, so to say. We don't have any membership with the companies or something. And we are not a destination company. This is really important. We only have one person working in this Stockholm Archipelago, and that's me for this time. And we can go to the next one. We are a unique place too. We have 30,000 islands and skerries, and we are the largest archipelago in the world. The first task we have mainly two tasks in Stockholm Archipelago. It's two tasks and mission I work with. The first one is to market the Stockholm Archipelago to an international visitor and to an international market. We do this mainly, like you do in Normandy too, with international press trips and tours. And why do we need international guests? Yes, we have to attract more people, and the international guests are free longer in the season, because in the summer in Sweden ends in the beginning of August. So that's why we have been focusing on the magic season, which you see here, since 2012. And that's the end of the August and September and a bit in October. And it's really magical out there. Yes, we can take the next one. The second mission is to create more business opportunities. Here you can also see the press, some of the international press we have. We had gone from a very hidden secret destination. Even for the Swedish people, Stockholm Archipelago are a bit hidden secret, I would say, because Stockholmers, we have a lot of people living in the Stockholm area about the Stockholm Archipelago, but the rest of Sweden and the rest of the world doesn't know about it, because it have been full with Stockholmers all over the summer period. And that's why we always and only work against international guests, and definitely want to push the magic season. So the second mission, we can take the next one, is to create more business opportunities for the archipelago's companies. And this mission, I am on a lot of international fairs and meeting with international tour operators and creating tours for them to come and visit us. That this is really important, because we are so secret. We have to gain a lot of trust from the travel operators. So it takes a pretty long while before we get into the companies. We can take the next picture. And since 2019, this is very important. We took a decision to work towards an interest instead of the markets. We said that those who are really interested in the same thing have more in common than their nationality and age and everything. And we found our segment of interest in Nature Tribe. We call them Nature Tribe. We have a lot of analysis around this group, and we found a specific group within the interest group, Nature Tribe, and we call them safety seekers. Those are inspired by extreme nature activities, but they book guided experience, and they book also complete packages with guides, accommodation and transportation. Because our destination is really hard, because it's 30,000 islands, and we have always really hard to find a way out because it's islands, and so we need to focus on the whole package. We can take the next one. So that's why we started to create co-packaging. And during the pandemic, we applied for a lot of fundings from the States, and we got it. And we worked really, really close towards the companies, and we managed to create co-packaging, where all these activities is a part of it: accommodation and nature activity and transportation. We can take the next slide. And also we have, as a result of that, today, almost all municipalities in Stockholm Archipelago, the 8 municipalities, have a digital toolbox to which we refer companies that want to participate in the co-packaging. They can go into this. You see it as a small slide down in the bottom on to the right. And then we also, the businesses got together, even if we're not a destination management organization and we work with the tax money, we are so happy that the companies in the Stockholm Archipelago started to develop their own brand and their own place to sell the co-packaging, which we work together with. And Ocas is a really great example that is, it's collecting of 30, 40 companies from the archipelago. So we are really fond on this Ocas together with the municipalities that have the toolbox for the companies to be better to co-packaging. The nature activity companies are also a part and a very important part in this co-packaging for the co-packaging and for the sustainability, because we see that the nature activity based company is the one that really own the question about sustainability, and they learn the accommodation company and the transportation company. So we really find a way to work with the companies. And also, like here, we have the Regent Holiday, and they are selling our packaging that we develop together with the companies. We can take the next slide. And also, we found, we participate in talks about an Interreg project with other countries around the Baltic Sea. And the idea was initiated by the Nordic Archipelago Council, and then it took care about a lead partner, Novia in Turku. So since 2024, we are a part of this Interreg project with Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, Finland, and Åland. And we are really pushing the company to make more and better products for the dark season of the year, the low season. Because we see that in the world is starting to moving against to experience this cold season. Maybe that's the most exclusive thing we have around the Baltic. So we are happy to be a part of that. We can take the next picture. And another track is within the second mission to work with the destination, the place more and the businesses. It's more place development than destination management, I would say. And then we saw what the nature tribe is really fond of. Which nature activity is the most popular in the nature tribe segment? And then we found that the hiking is the really most attractive. And we didn't have a hike. We have a lot of islands that have small hiking trails. But then in 2022, I had a meeting with the Swim Round founder, Michael Lemmel. And we sat together and then we said that we have to do a really good trail. So we started in 2022 to work to get this realized as a Stockholm Archipelago Trail. We can take another picture. And it's 270 kilometers long trail, and it's on 20 islands. And this is really a result from the nature tribe. So to analyze interest segment and see what they really want from the world is really exciting, because then you see something, and then when the state just funded money to invest in different kind of trails around Sweden, we applied and then we got money to do this trail. So from June 2023, and then we open up in October 2024. So this is really a new trail that goes from North Arholma down to Landsort. And we have also a boat line that goes to all the 20 islands on this trail in the summertime. We can take the next one. And here is the gang. We are just 4 people doing this, and in Stockholm business region where I work, we managed to tie 3 companies to us that made this possible in just 16 months. So we are really proud of all the things they did and what we did. And you can also see that you can make really big things happen if you are really committed and everyone knows what to do. And of course, those people knew the archipelago. They knew the people there, and they knew the environment and the landscape. And that's a very, very, very important thing. So we can take the next one. And it's not to forget the digital trail. We also launched a digital homepage for Stockholm Archipelago Trail in November last year. And we see that a new webpage is really, really good to have, like a digital infrastructure, but also to measure all the things going on. And I am alone in this Stockholm Archipelago, so we have to really work together to get this happen, and also to analyze the numbers of the visitors and everything. So I can really say that the digital infrastructure of the trail is as important as the physical one, I would say. The next one. Yes, so we got a really good ticket and a sign that we are on the right track with the Nature Tribe and the Magic Season and everything, that we got on the list to best place of the world in National Geographic 2025. So with that, I thank you so much for being a part of this good group that Paul created. And I would also say to Paul that you can show the video after Normandy if you want to, or if you want to show it now. It's just 3 minutes, but it really tells a lot what we really have done in the media.
Thank you, Marie. And I know you've got to go, so thank you very much for joining. And we'll go back to Emily, I think, and then show the video at the end, so it's part of the recording. We have an unexpected cliffhanger now in the program, so Emily has results to show. So we need a drum roll or something like that to. I'll stop sharing this, and like I say, we'll show the film at the end, and Emily can continue now with her results. And anyone who has to leave, I totally understand it, because we've gone a little bit too long. But the recording has been made, so you can come back and watch the remaining session if you need to.
Yes, thank you, Paul. So I'm nearly done, so I think it will be really short. I just wanted to share the first results of the low carbon rate that we had in Normandy and that we launched last year. Indeed, so more than 85 sites joined the initiative across the region this year, so nearly the same as last year. And in 2024, 10,000 low carbon rate tickets were sold in Normandy by all these sites. That represents 1% of all tickets sold by these sites involved into the project. So it's really, we still have some room for improvement, but still it was a nice, it was interesting to get the statistics for the first year in order to be able to compare it in the next years. And just some, this information is also interesting, that most of the sites offer a discount, which is more important than the minimum. So more than 10% discount to the visitors who come with sustainable mobility. Of course, many and the most important part of the visitors who benefited from the low carbon rate in 2024 used the bike to come, then a third of them used the train, and only 5% of them used the bus. There was a lot of mention of this project, and we had quite a nice media coverage last year about it. And I wanted to share it with you because I think it would be nice also if this kind of action of low carbon rate could be held in other tourist sites, in other regions, on other local territories, etc. We had a lot of discussions with many tourist destinations in France and in Europe to extend this project to other territories. And so it would be nice also if this can be extended so that the visitors can benefit from this offer in Normandy, but in other destinations as well. And that's it for me.
Well, thank you very much, Emily. Thank you for also pausing so that we could fit Marie in. I didn't see any questions in the chat, but if anybody wants to ask questions or clarify any points, then feel free to jump in now and say what you want to say. There is silence, and there were no questions in the chat, so I assume that everybody has a need to get away and do other things. For me, I think there was a really clear message here about the importance of collaboration and commitment and drive, using facts, using evidence, combining tools and approaches to make the digitalization part of a seamless and smooth package of services that we offer to customers so that they can behave in a sustainable way. Matti has from Tampere has written a couple of comments in the chat, and he's praising our speakers' approaches, which is very good. That was the intention of showing some good examples with this webinar. I will very, very quickly find a slide to show you before we finish, because there is one more webinar to go in this series. I'm going to, I think, try to send the film that Camilla, sorry, Marie wanted to show, because I can't seem to get it to play. We have one more, there we go, one more webinar in this series, and that will be at some point in June. Visit Tampere will organize this webinar, and it will be on empowering to influence. So it's the final phase in the TAAS cycle. Thank you very much to Camilla, to Emily, and to Marie for your presentations today. It was really interesting and good to hear your different approaches and work. I think there's a lot of inspiration for everybody working on the topics of sustainability and digitalization in tourism. And I will wrap up now and wish everybody a nice Tuesday. As you can see, I'm a little bit confused. I've got a cold. But I wish you all a very nice Tuesday and a very nice week, and look forward to seeing you in June.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.